The habits that you follow every day will determine whether you will learn English or not. That's why in today's video I'll share with you 5 simple things that you can easily do each day to improve your English. But first, let me tell you my story. When I was in school, I used to think that if I wanted to learn English, I had to buy a grammar book and read it from start to finish. I thought that would help me learn English, but it did not. That's why I started looking for some other ways of learning and improving my English. And I discovered that if I wanted to learn English, I had to start from listening. That's why I started listening to podcasts. Podcasts are amazing because they're usually long. And the more listening you get, the better. Second, you can multitask with podcasts. You can listen to them while you cook, drive, or walk. Personally, I would listen to podcasts when I would go to school on a bus. I would put on my earpods and I would listen to them. And that really improved my listening skills. The great thing about podcasts is that you can find one on any topic you are interested in. And that's super important. If you listen to something you like, you are more likely to pay attention to that thing, and that will improve your English. If you want some recommendations, then try listening to Luke's English podcast, All Ears English podcast, Deep Dive with Ali Abdal. That's a really good one. If you're not interested in these and you really want to find a podcast about your hobby, then go on Spotify, Google Podcast, or Apple Podcast and search for podcasts about fill in the blank with your hobby, podcasts about sports, podcast about friends, podcast about anime. This way you'll really find the one you're interested in, and when you do, listen to it for 30 minutes to an hour every day. Have you ever noticed when you are in the middle of a conversation and your mind goes blank? You just don't know what to say. This happens because you have not honed and sharpened your thinking skills in English. When we are learning a language, we have to think in that language a lot in order to kind of grow it in our mind, so that we can make sentences in that language on our own. This idea is called building a second brain in a foreign language. If you want me to make another video about this topic, then let me know in the comments. But the point is, if you want to learn and improve your English so that you don't get stuck, you have to think in English. I have a separate video about this topic that teaches you how to think in English properly and effectively step by step. I'll put it right here somewhere. But the simplest way of thinking in English is to describe your actions as you're doing them. So if you're writing, you can say, I'm writing, I'm watching a video, I'm listening, I sit, I had a dinner with a friend, I'm watching, I'm recording a video. Think about the thing you're doing right now, or you've done, or you might do. This is like the simplest and easiest way of thinking in English. There are of course other ways you can think in English, and I discussed them deeply in that video I mentioned, but for now just describe your actions as you're doing them. Describe what you're doing, what you've done, or what you will do, and you will have a lot of topics to think about. Personally, I would think in English all the time. Whenever I would be walking alone, I would be thinking in English. In the classroom, I used to think in English a lot because the lectures were boring. And still to this day, I think in English. Listening to podcasts and thinking in English, both of these are passive learning techniques because you're just consuming the language and you're thinking about it, but you're not really using your English. These type of techniques are great for improving your listening skills and your pronunciation. But if you want to speak English fluently and become fluent in English, then you need to practice active learning techniques. The one I would highly encourage you to do is to speak with a friend. This is, in my opinion, the best way to practice your speaking. If you talk with yourself to practice your English, it's really boring. Sure, you will get some speaking practice, but you will not enjoy your learning process. Friends make learning fun and enjoyable. So speak English with a friend, even if it's just for 30 minutes. I know what you're thinking right now. But I don't have any friends. How do I make new friends? That's a really nice question. I will tell you how I met most of my friends. I met most of my friends that I have now in different communities like Facebook groups, Instagram pages, or I met them through other friends. The great thing about making friends is that once you make one, you can ask them to introduce you to other people in their life, and then you get to know them and become friends with those people, and it's like a chain reaction. As I said, if you want to make friends, interact with people in different communities like Facebook groups, Instagram pages, Telegram groups, WhatsApp groups, and get to know people. Try to be nice and friendly, respect others, be kind to everyone, and eventually you will make some friends. and then those friends will introduce you to other people and so on. The main idea is make friends and speak with them. I prefer foreign friends because they can't speak my language, I can't speak theirs. That way both of us are forced to communicate in English, and it creates this environment for me to practice my English in. The next thing you can do to improve your English is to learn 5 to 10 new words or phrases each day. We all know that vocabulary is everything, right? The more words you know, the more fluent and the more articulate your conversations will be. There are many ways you can learn vocabulary. One way to do that is to look around you and learn the name of the things you see. Do you know the names of all the pots in your kitchen? Do you know the names of all the fruits and vegetables in English? If you don't, then learn those. This is a nice way to learn vocabulary and it works. I followed it for some time, but after a while it kind of got boring, so I switched to another method for learning vocabulary. I mentioned podcasts, right? Whenever I would listen to them and I would not understand a word, I would immediately write that word down in a small notebook or in a note-taking app. By the end of the day, I would usually have 5 to 10 words written in my notebook. When I would get some free time, I would look up those words in a dictionary. I would learn their definitions, and then tomorrow I would repeat the process and learn new words and so on. When it comes to learning vocabulary, I follow some rules that help me learn and remember vocabulary forever. The first rule is to learn phrases, not individual words. We remember words when we associate them with the words that we already know. So if you learn words in the form of phrases, you will never forget them. Second, learn definition of words, not translation. I have seen a lot of English learners making this mistake. When they don't understand a word, they go to Google Translate and they translate that word into their native language. That's the wrong way of learning vocabulary. You want to learn words by learning and understanding their definitions. This is more effective. The third rule is to use the words you learn. I say this a lot, if you don't use words, you lose them. That's just how our memory works. The more you repeat a word in your conversations, the better you will remember it. So learn 5 to 10 new words or phrases each day by following the rules I just shared with you. The final thing to practice to improve your English is to write in your journal. A journal is a record of your personal ideas and your thoughts. If you experience something unique, like you had an interesting conversation or you made a new friend, you can write about that event or experience in your journal. Journaling helps you think clearly and you can brainstorm your ideas while you're doing it. And also it's just a great way to practice your writing skills. I tried journaling for a few months and it really elevated my writing skills. Before I started journaling, my writing skills were really bad. I was only focused on speaking and fluency, but my writing skills really sucked. So I decided to start a journal. That one. Every day in the evening I would write about my ideas, thoughts, experiences and events. It will literally take me less than 10 minutes. You can give it a try. As I said, journaling has a lot of mental health benefits, plus it's a great way to improve your writing skills. Alright, I hope you follow and practice these 5 habits. They really improved my English and I'm more than sure that they will improve yours as well. A lot of people ask me, Asim, how did you learn English? Which secret method did you follow? Well, these are the secrets. If you try and stick with them for a few weeks, your English will improve a lot, I guarantee. So these were my tips and tricks to improve your English overall. But if you just want to improve your speaking skills, i.e. you want to speak English fluently fast, then watch this video in which I shared with you my secrets to speak in English like a pro in 90 days.